Hiya, people. I'm Dax.
And I'm Em.
And this is Full His House.
Your Full House Fancast.
And today, we are covering Season 1, Episode 9, The Miracle of Thanksgiving.
Oh, God. I had to hear that the entire episode.
Let's go. I can't wait.
I'm not gonna lie. I straight rolled my eyes when he did that the first time. He said the miracle of, I said, if you say Thanksgiving, I swear to God, I'm gonna vomit. And he said Thanksgiving, and I did vomit a little bit in my mouth. But I get it. Some people really, really like Thanksgiving. Beyond the food, it's not really for me. But you know.
Oh, absolutely not. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. This goes beyond Halloween, beyond Christmas, beyond Easter. Thanksgiving is it for me. It's not just because of the food, but I just love the idea that we have food and this is about being thankful. Ain't nobody exchanging gifts. This isn't about anything other than you being thankful. And the parade is always lit. That's where I get my little samples of what's going to be on Broadway next year. I mean, the dog show, come on. Like, it's Thanksgiving, bro.
Okay, look. I will give you one thing. For some reason, the dog show be lit. For whatever the reason. Maybe it's because I'm in my 30s now, but the dog show do be lit as hell for no reason. Other than that, Thanksgiving for me, like, I do appreciate the idea of like being thankful and like people just being thankful without having gifts being handed to them. That's always fantastic. We love that. But for me, realistically, it really is just like about the food. But at the same time, like if I wasn't going to see somebody who was making food, it's very unlikely that I'd be making my own food at home. That's just being completely realistic. Like, I'll go eat Thanksgiving at your house, but like, don't expect to ever be invited to my house because I'm not making Thanksgiving. I'm just being honest. I'm not the one. I'm a decent cook, but I just don't want to put myself through that hell.
I mean, that's like whatever it is you do or don't eat or how you eat it. Like, I'm not like the most adventurous eater. I don't love the cranberry sauce. I don't love stuffing. I do just like my turkey and mash. But I mean, we could be here all day. Real quick though, to anybody who is a fan of the dog shows, I just want to touch on the fact that it is like a crazy, weird, heartbreaking thing that Black Labs have never won the dog show. I think it's so because it's like, it's always the dogs with the long flowy hair, the more showboaty dogs. It's just that like labs are just too cool. So if you're out there and you're listening, I don't know what we need to do to like put some respect on the Black Labs name, but let's just hope that change happens very soon.
You know, like on one hand, I understand what you're saying. On the other hand, like people don't buy wigs to have buzz cuts. You get me? Like they buy wigs for like long, luscious hair. So people usually like give the prize to what they kind of want the most. Most people want a pretty dog just like they want a pretty child. So it's usually going to be whatever dog comes up as being the prettiest or the cutest, whatever is most adorable.
All right, you know what? Let me just turn on a light.
Oh my God. That's usually the one who's going to win.
Hold up. Let me turn on a light because it's dark in here from that shade that you just threw. That's why.
Look, it's not shade if it's true.
All right, y'all. Don't be up in the DMs. She don't know what she's saying. No, I feel, like there's definitely some truth to what it is that you're saying. And that's like what I'm trying to combat. That being said, everybody, please remember to adopt. Don't shop.
100%.
We're animal lovers. I'm a rabbit owner. We'll get into that later.
I got 2 kitties.
Oh, yeah. And homegirl got kits.
House full of dogs. Not my dogs, but we got a house full of dogs nonetheless.
Let us know in the comments if you want pics. We'll throw them up on the social medias. But in any case, today's animal is the turkey. It's Turkey Day when everyone teams up to prepare for the Thanksgiving feast, which is, that's pretty much just what's going on here. Before we get into our deep dive, overall thoughts?
I liked this episode. I actually liked this episode. It got me emotional. So this is the first episode to do that to me. I had a solid tear drop out my left eye. So promising, promising. I really liked the writing and the development we got in this episode. We'll break it down as we go, but I enjoyed this one a lot.
Yeah, I do think, watching it this time around, I did have a little bit of that tear as well, which is crazy because obviously I've been watching this throughout the duration of my life. This episode, I haven't seen as much as the other episodes because when you are watching, obviously I didn't watch when it was originally airing, but I would watch mostly on ABC Family at 12 o'clock every day. And
Okay.
so if it's not the holiday, they won't give the holiday episode. They'll usually just skip it. So I'm not as familiar with the dialogue, I would say, in this episode as I am with all the other ones. But because of that, I think it's able to have a little bit more of that impact on me. Yeah, I also got a little bit emotional, and like I mentioned, I love Thanksgiving. And I do think that there's something to be said about a show that can give you those feels in the first season. I know that that's
Mm-hmm.
always going to be like the goal for like the pilot episode, but you're feeling for the characters in this one. You're feeling for a lot of different reasons. So I just think it's a really good episode to kind of establish Full House and what you really are signing up for as you continue to watch this series.
I completely agree with that. From what I can tell, at very least, like this does feel like the episode where we got kind of like the most development from everybody, and we kind of got like to, we got development out of some characters, and then we got to kind of check in with other ones in a sense of seeing, where they are mentally now, months or whatever after Pam is kind of passed. Because I mean, they haven't really given us a solid timeline, but we get the idea that it's been probably about like 3-4 months since the guys have moved in.
Yeah, making it anywhere between like 6 months to it's under a year since because they haven't this is the first Thanksgiving, but yeah, it's still fresh for everybody. Like the first year of losing someone is just the worst, so it's tough.
Exactly. But this episode gave me very high hopes for the next couple like holiday episodes. Because if we're already into Thanksgiving, that means Christmas is coming up really soon. And that one should be even more, misty eyeing because they just lost their mom. And I'm curious to see how they do this one a little bit differently without coming back to the same, oh, well, mom used to do this. Like, I don't want them to rely on that every time to kind of pull that emotion out of me.
Correct. Yeah, and I'm excited to see how because I'm trying to remember if it's this season or next season where we will get Christmas, but we do get an early Full House Christmas. There's like 3 or 4 Christmas episodes, and I would say that the first Christmas episode is definitely the most heartfelt. But anyway, we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves. Um, so we start in Michelle's room, and Danny has a toy turkey and is playing with Michelle, and he encourages her to say turkey, but then comes to the conclusion that she doesn't need that kind of pressure right now, which I just thought was so cute.
I thought that was hilarious. And true, she does not need the pressure right now. Thanksgiving's not about pressure, it's about food and being thankful, but mostly about food.
Yeah. That being said, it would be so cute if she was able to say it on Thanksgiving. But yeah, she don't need that pressure. Um, Danny then sits Michelle on Joey's neck and makes a joke that his hair is a baby magnet. That image is just so funny to me. I know it's a little weird, but just the image of a child sitting on it's just like, I feel like that's how most parents probably feel is like defeated, face down, and then their kids just up there like, hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? So that visual for me was just pretty hilarious.
I get it. I get it. I do. I didn't find this visual necessarily funny. I was just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, personally, maybe it's just because I've been in a situation kind of like that and I don't like being woken up, especially in like weird ways. I've never been woken up before. And you can tell by by Jesse's face that was a weird way. He's never been woken up before, and I would have been just as annoyed.
I will say that, yeah, why are you coming at me so early on a holiday? But it's
Exactly.
because everybody knows that on Thanksgiving you get up hella early so that you can start cooking hella early so that we all eat at 3.
Mm-mm. Nope. Sorry. Every year, my mom starts cooking the day before. She pre cooks everything, or not necessarily pre-cooks, but she kind of preps out everything. So the only thing she has to do in the morning is throw things into the oven.
I feel like depending on how intricate some people are, I have never prepared like a big Thanksgiving dinner, but sometimes people are prepping weeks before, night before. Like there's a lot that goes into it. But I will say that Thanksgiving is definitely the most labor heavy um, holiday in the household. Um,
100%.
Danny says he has a problem and he needs Jesse and Joey downstairs. Jesse is very tired and Joey wakes up with a bunch of energy and Jesse is just not having it.
I'm not a morning person as it is, so I get that. I get that wholeheartedly. I am not necessarily a morning person, like at all. And so if you woke me up extra early morning and it wasn't in my plan or my body didn't naturally wake me up at that point, I'm already groggy. Leave me alone. Like that's how I am at least. So I kind of I understand the attitude because I personally always have that attitude when I'm woken up unexpectedly out of my sleep early morning.
Yep. Yeah. No, I am a morning person, so nobody can wake me up. I'm always up before the world. So the problem is that it is snowing in Tacoma, which means that grandma can't fly in and make them dinner. Joey says that they can make dinner themselves because of the miracle of
Oh
Thanksgiving.
God.
And Jesse says, there is no miracle of Thanksgiving, huh? And I think that's our first, huh? He does that pretty often.
Okay, he does that often. Yeah, that is definitely our first heh because I that was the first time I heard him, and then he said it like a couple of times through the episode. I was like, okay, all right, that's a new thing. Got you.
This is a thing that we're doing now, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Danny wants it to be the best because it's the girls' first Thanksgiving without Pam. And so they have a bunch of uncooked food on the table. And he asks, what should we make first? And the answer is reservations. And Danny's like, nah, we can do this. And Joey goes over to the cookbook and tries to basically decipher it. And I will admit, this is very realistic. Especially when you're doing something like a really huge Thanksgiving dinner, there are so many sub things that need to go in. It's like, oh, you need the buttermilk for this, but first you got to make the buttermilk. Like that was a very real moment for me. You can't on the same day read unless you are a seasoned cook. I can't do this. Like see a recipe on the same day and be able to do it. I need some time to make sure that I really can, you know?
See, I don't necessarily have that problem only because I think it's because of like where we are now. A lot of those things, like if you wanted buttermilk, maybe like in the late 80s, mid to late 80s, like it wasn't common to be able to go into the store and buy buttermilk. I don't know. I wasn't alive at that point. Um, but I know that like now, like if something's like, oh, have buttermilk, you can literally just go and buy that at the store.
So they come to the conclusion that stuffing is highly overrated. And the girls
Mhm.
walk in, and Michelle is on a bike, and Jesse asks her to pop a wheelie, and she does it, and it's so cute.
Actually, it really is. I will definitely say that when she actually like stood up and like popped that the little bicycle up too, I was like, okay, that's adorable. Like that's the one moment I was like, okay, that's absolutely adorable.
Like,
TikTok worthy.
I.
I would stop scrolling. I'd be like, oh, that's so cute. Like it was really cute. And I don't know if that was like a thing that, was improv because it almost felt like it was an improv thing and they didn't, but at the same time it does kind of like the idea of them teaching her to pop this wheelie like she's a dog and they're teaching her how to give
Yeah,
paw. It's
exactly.
probably the funniest thing in my head to think about. So like instead I like to think of it as like, oh, maybe it was improv and it was just something he was doing with Michelle in the back while they were, getting ready for shows or something. And he was like, oh, this is the perfect time to use it. Like, I like to think of it more like that than them trying to train her to figure out what the keyword is and what it means to do.
And I will say, just with the feeling of improv and natural just performance. Michelle in these early episodes does give off some of the most natural performances because she is a baby just babying. Like she doesn't really even
Yes.
understand what's happening. What's interesting is something that they talk about on How Rude Tanneritos is that they, even for a while, because the girls were so young, they didn't use both names. They would just use the names on the show. Like, so just to kind of give you an idea, like these babies really were just being, you know, babies on set. So like some of the magical moments that we have with Michelle are just so pure. And like the cast really did love them. And like I said, How Rude Tanneritos really goes, they tell some of the greatest stories about the girls and how they connected with the cast. And they talk about how you can actually see the girls become more comfortable with the cast. So if for whatever reason you're listening to this and not that, please just do yourself a favor and get that context because it's just so cute. And again, I do know that, you know, the girls now probably feel a lot different about this, but I just hope that they know wherever they are that we love them and we are so appreciative of them doing the work that they did during this time. Danny breaks it to the girls that there will be no home cooked meal. And DJ is automatically just not about this life. She, at first, Steph is kind of fine with it, but DJ says no, the idea stinks. And because, you know, they've always had a home cooked meal and, you know, it's just what mom does. And what is something that I absolutely love is DJ says that she can make the pumpkin pie because, you know, Pam taught her how to do it last year, and she offers to also make the turkey because she talked to her grandmother about it. And Stephanie offers to help, and I just love this moment of the two girls being like, "No, guys, come on, we want a real Thanksgiving. We want to do this. We want to like help." And I just think it was great.
I love that because it's like for them, what they were thankful for was like the memories that they had on Thanksgiving with their mom. So in this sense, it's like we want to do this because it's like we don't want to break the tradition just because she's gone now. It feels better keeping that tradition instead of breaking it. So it, I mean, at the same time, I don't get why the boys or the guys didn't just like ask them if they wanted to help out in the kitchen and make it a whole, you know, group thing. You got nobody knows how to cook in that house. Everybody is learning. Apparently the best cook in the house is DJ. So I mean we could have just made it a whole family event at the beginning, but at least we did wrap around at some point to get to that family event, even though, you know, we went around it the hard way. But our boys will be boys, and at least the way that we got about there fit their characters 100%.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree. So Danny is determined, and they all pitch in, and there's this, how do we feel about the can you feel it that
Mm.
Joey did? Because I think he was supposed to be emulating like a black pastor.
See, I really hope that's not what it was meant to be, but at the same time, like I don't know the reference well enough to like
Right.
be
Like it could be
offended by
referencing
it
something
in any
super,
way. You get me?
yeah, they could be referencing something super specific, and I don't know what that is, but my mind's just going there. So if
Yeah.
anybody's out there and they know what this might be a reference to, like, please just let me know. But yeah, I was a little bit bummed by it. And then we have a dance scene of the family making dinner to get ready, cause here I come. And it's a whole thing with choreography. They're going around the table, they're doing the monkey, they're twisting, they're passing the food around. It's fucking fire in there. It's awesome.
This was a cute little like montage moment because like usually you see them with, you know, in movies and stuff where they can kind of cut all these little moments up together, and they found a really creative way to kind of do that in all one moment. It's like, yeah, we didn't really see them put this together, but it felt like, you know, we were watching them, you know, put this whole meal together because they were kind of setting the table and doing it in this fun way where it's like all the dishes weren't done, but we were just kind of finishing up at the end. It felt like a nice little montage, but done before, you know, a live studio audience in a single shot, which was really, really cool. From like a writer standpoint, that was really cool.
Yeah, it was super impressive. It was so much fun. And just like You can see on mostly on DJ's face because I just couldn't find Stephanie at some point. Like I feel like I just couldn't like get her actual face. But there's just this moment where DJ just looks so ecstatic, and it felt a little bit real. Like they probably had a lot of fun shooting that. So yeah. Um,
It looked like a lot of fun. The only thing we were missing was the Macarena at that point.
I don't think it was out by then.
Was it not? Are you?
No, the Macarena's 90s. I think it's like
Is it 90? You know what? I'm a 90s baby, so most of my references will be 90s.
so. The family starts to sit at the table, and DJ is very proud of her work. Joey and Jesse see that the turkey is frozen, and DJ continues to talk about how she wasn't sure she can pull it off and asks if Danny thinks that Pam would have been proud of her. Danny gets up, and DJ asks if there's something wrong with the turkey as Danny puts it back into the oven. And she says, "Well, you don't want to do that for too long. You don't want it to get dry." And he says, "There's no danger of that happening, DJ."
I mean, look, funny joke. I actually cracked a laugh at that one because that was funny.
The
'Cause he wasn't
sincerity in
wrong.
his face.
It was such a real moment. I do think it's funny that he had kind of like the same. I feel like very relatable logic in a sense of like, if you want it to cook faster, turn it up higher, in a sense. So he just kind of cranked it all the way up and said, "There, it'll." There's no way it's going to be frozen when it comes out this time. That's what he kind of thought in his head. He thought, "Ooh, I got it."
And this is actually a very common Thanksgiving mistake. You need
100%.
to thaw it, what is it, 2 days before or like 48 hours? You cannot thaw it
Yeah,
same
something
day.
like that. No, because it needs to be thawed out completely in order to make sure it cooks all the way through. There's too much meat.
Right. So, and that I think that little detail is like this is a very we've never done Thanksgiving before mistake. It was very real. And you can do nothing but just feel for them. Um, in that moment, the doorbell rings and Danny seems relieved. He wants everybody to go and check who it is, and it's these two 80s blondes with a turkey who show up. And I do love this because they ask, I forget what the actual number is, but they asked if this was, blah, 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 Gerard. And Joey says, Way, Avenue, Street, Place, or Lane.
Right. You know what? I've definitely been there. Sometimes you get a part of an address, you type it in, you'd be like, I did not think to ask if it was going to be street, avenue, or like highway. Because like now you have so many different ones. There's street, avenue, lane, highway, uh, there's loop. Like it's just it's crazy. It's crazy. So that is completely relatable, especially in a time where there's no navigation. You have to use one of those maps. You have to actually unfold and hope that it's one of the up to date ones and not one of the ones that's been sitting in your glove compartment for the last 3 years. Yeah, I remember those days. That sucked.
Yeah. I feel like even for me, fucking MapQuest seems like ancient times, So I
You
don't know
know what?
how they did it.
Yeah. Even MapQuest is crazy because, like, for those who don't know what MapQuest is, think like when your phone gets plugged into Apple CarPlay and you use, Google Maps or anything like that, and it just shows you the directions and no physical picture. It would show you that you'd have to print it out and take it with you in order to make it to where you were going. Like you had to read it on paper and then drive at the same time. So either way, we were still looking at paper. It's just one gave us directions and the other one was just a map where we had to figure out where we were and where we're going.
And for those of you who don't know what paper is, right, I'm sorry. So Danny has the girls go upstairs so they can plot getting the turkey from the 80s blondes. It's so good. They suggest that Jesse try to weasel it out of them and try to use like his charm. And he's like, all right, Danny, dim the lights. Joey, get some drinks, which is just like, okay, like dim the lights and get some drinks. Could you imagine?
I could not imagine stepping inside with my friend and having them dim the lights and bring out drinks. I'm just like, what is happening? I asked for directions. That's probably the creepiest bit right there. Why are you trying to get me to stay? And then the turkey thing, though, the like debating that comes later is so funny. But go ahead.
I do
I'm getting
love
ahead of myself.
Yeah, no, because this is just such a great moment. I do love like when
It
they first
is.
have like Jesse do it. I did forget to mention this part. He said, I don't know if it was one girl and a chicken on a Groundhog's Day, I could do it, but like
And a chicken on a Groundhog's Day is crazy. Crazy. It's like, he was like, look, I've done a lot of challenging things. This one is a little bit above what I've done before, but we can give it a shot. I was just like, what is happening right now?
it was a little
We're
wacky.
asking you to like get them to give us the turkey, not bed them. And he's going the whole 5 yards, laying it on factor 50 thick, just flirting full throttle. I'm just like, bro, we just want the turkey, not them.
Seriously. And he does try that route, tries to woo the girls a little bit, and then they say our husbands wouldn't like it, which real quick,
Mm-hmm.
y'all got husbands, right?
Why he not with y'all?
Why? Okay, even if it's one of those things where it's like, oh, I'll meet you there. uh, And I know this doesn't matter, but it's like, okay, so it's like, let's say me and you are both married and we're going to go to Thanksgiving. What possible scenario could be that both of our husbands would be at the location and not us? You know? Like
Them be facts.
it's just weird. It's fine. It works. It's like it is not an issue. It's just a little bit of a thing that I was thinking. Um, and so Danny then offers $100, goes up to 150, and they say, let's talk, which
I thought this was funny as hell because first and foremost, if someone offered me $100 for a turkey, I'm not asking them why. I'm handing them the turkey. I don't know about anybody else, but if someone's like, "I'll give you $100 for that turkey," why would you? Why is your first question why?
okay, but think about it this way.
I'm like, cash.
Like, because the thing is, it would have to be enough money for me to show up to Thanksgiving without a turkey and like explain that. Like, sorry, y'all, somebody wanted to pay me $100, so none of you can eat. It would have to be a certain amount of money, you know?
Okay, here's my thing though, right? This was also $100 in the early 80s. Let's think about that
Right.
for a second. How much was a turkey in the early 80s or mid to late 80s? This is like supposed to be like 87 or something, right? So turkeys were like it says $10.88 in
For a
1987
turkey?
for a turkey. $10.88. He's giving you $100. You're making back 10 times the amount that you gave for the turkey in the first place. At that time, at that point in place, and in 1987, most people made that in like a week's worth of work. $100 is a lot of money, especially at that time. I mean, it's not fantastic now. You can get by with it 100%, but like 1987, $100 was a lot of money.
That's true.
So why are you asking why instead of saying cash?
Yeah. No, true.
I mean, look, on the other hand, it got her to 150, but then, obviously we hit this later and she, he gets up to 200 and she still doesn't give it to him. Why? Why are you leaving with the turkey and empty-handed with, you're going to Thanksgiving at somebody else's house, so there's going to be food.
Right.
There's just not going to be a turkey. But you like $200 richer than you were when you left?
Say you got robbed.
Exactly. Or the turkey dropped. I'm so sorry. We were walking up here and we got chased by a dog. We dropped the turkey as a distraction. I don't care. Come up with something for $200. I got you.
Yep. No, that's actually super true. And the girls are thinking the way you are. They're considering, and Joey is making drinks and somehow gets his tongue caught in a bottle. Struggling, he ends up with the bottle stuck to a chair, and we notice that the turkey catches fire. It is absolute chaos.
I need to know who in the world drinks like that. Who takes the bottle to the head and then sticks their tongue down the neck of it, trying to get to the last drops of it. Let me know. I need to know who else does that. Like, is this a real life thing? Do people actually do this? Or was this just like for a skit?
maybe this is one of those Joey knows what he's doing things.
What you thinking? Tell me.
I was hoping you would take it from there.
You was hoping I was taking from there. You're hilarious. You're hilarious. I'll say one thing: the idea of putting it into the pieces of the chair in order to try and give yourself more leeway to pull it was actually really, really smart. But what is the purpose of any of this? Like, why stick your tongue down it? What drinks were you even making? I couldn't get a solid read on it. I swear I saw two that were like clear, but then two that were like brown for some reason. But everything around him seemed to be clear liquid. I don't know how it got brown. I don't that scene itself was so confusing, and I don't know if it was meant to be like it didn't feel like one of those messy on purpose moments. It felt like one of those Joey messy on accident moments.
The purpose, though, is like because he sees that like the turkey catches on fire, and he then runs out of the kitchen into the living room and tries to alert everyone by mimicking an ambulance and saying gobble gobble gobble. And the girls leave freaked out. I don't understand why they couldn't just get their $200 real quick and then leave, but
Right.
yeah.
And on top of that, with the way that it was smoking, you're telling me they didn't immediately smell smoke when he came through the kitchen? Like those are swinging doors. It's going to swing a couple times before it stops. So you're telling me nobody smelt smoke? It was thick smoke too. It's not like it was thick smoke.
Yeah,
It was
a little
thick.
scary.
And nobody smelt it. That's a little bit terrifying. On top of that, I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but if it seems like a fire might break out, I will beat you with a chair to get you to go into that kitchen. I'm not playing charade. Now is not the time.
Yeah, no, it was
On top of that, why didn't he just like remove the bottle from the chair and just walk out there and use his hands to drag them into the kitchen?
because
That would have been a lot faster.
the bottle was then also stuck.
He could have just like hit the bottom of that bottle real fast. It wasn't stuck in that far. It's not like it was wrapped around it. It was just at the bottom part of it. All I'm saying is that there are definitely ways we could have gone about it. He could have used his hands by letting go of the chair, or he could have just hit them with the chair to guide them into the kitchen. Or we could have just smelt the smoke because we have kids in the house. We need our senses.
Fire alarm, not it had one job.
What? Where was the fire alarm? It was happening in the kitchen. Where was the fire alarm? Honestly, yeah. I think that probably would have been funnier to have like Joey trying to get this bottle off of his tongue while the thing is smoking in the back, but he hasn't noticed it, and then the fire alarm goes off, which brings Joey or Jesse, Danny, and the girls into the kitchen because all the white women in this show have the audacity to just roam the house, so we know they're going to. So they just kind of come into the kitchen and they see what's happening, and then at that point we have that like funny moment where Joey's in a weird predicament with this bottle on his tongue, but they see the oven. Like that in itself would have been funny, but this whole thing was so messy because I'm just like, well, first, look, I would ask why he was drinking like that, but this is Joey, so I don't think I want to know the answer. I'm just going to be honest about that. I don't think I want to know the answer, but just playing charades to let them know that a fire might break out is the craziest thing I've seen in a show, period.
Yeah, I mean, he does kick them to get in there, but that's only after it's been so long. And
after the girls have left and he feels okay with kicking them, I guess.
Right.
I don't know. But it's just the idea of like a fire might break out in there. Let's play some charades so you guys understand what I'm saying. No, go in there. Go in there. What are you doing? Like,
yeah.
Guide them with the chair. You have a massive chair between the two of you. They're not going to hit you. Apparently you're scared of Jesse hitting you at one point or another. So just... You have a big old chair between the two of you. Just guide them in there. Herd them like cattle.
Survival, man. Survival.
Man.
The boys go into the kitchen and handle the turkey, and it is black. DJ sees the issue, and Danny explains to her that it's not her fault. It's just that it was frozen, and he put it back in the oven. And while this is going on, Stephanie drops the pumpkin pie and gets all upset and runs upstairs. DJ gets upset and runs upstairs, and DJ tries to run up and talk to them. And then Michelle says turkey.
And then Michelle says turkey. Cute little moment at the end of all of that mess. Um, okay, so just me being hypercritical. I wasn't a fan of the pie drop scene just because you could tell she literally just, let it drop. Like it was, they told her make sure you let it drop at this point, and she literally just, let her hands tip forward. It didn't feel like it was real. But that's just me being like hypercritical. It didn't ruin anything for me. But I did think that I like the fact that Danny was honest with DJ instead of, lying about something. Because we could have gone that route of just trying to fix it again instead of just letting her know what happened. I appreciate the fact that we were honest in that moment. Um, I also like the fact that we actually had Jesse go up and talk to Stephanie, because that led to my favorite moment in this episode. But I've been waiting to get like these moments with Jesse and the girls that just kind of show, real pieces of him and not this facade that we continuously get. And yeah, we'll talk more about it, but it led to one of my favorite parts of this episode.
Yeah, right before he talks to Stephanie, Danny is talking to DJ about the situation and he admits that he almost paid $200 to those women for their turkey, and she said, "All right, well, you should have just told me the truth and given me the $200." And I was like, you know what?
Facts. Look, I've said this over. Look, DJ is a hustler. She about her money. She about her bag. I like her.
You better ask somebody.
Man.
So they have a moment where they quote Pam, "Smiles are free, so give them away." I think the real quote is "Hugs are free, so give them away," but whatever. And so they kind of have like a fine moment about that.
Mm-hmm.
Jesse is then trying to talk to Stephanie, who is hiding in her closet. And he enters and tells her that it's okay because everyone makes mistakes. And he carries her piggyback into his room and shows her a picture of what Stephanie describes as a goofy looking guy with a silly haircut and big ears. And Jesse tells the story about how Pam cut Jesse's hair and he looked weird for a while. And they look through a few pictures. And Stephanie asks who the little girl is. And Jesse tells her that it is Pam, and she's holding scissors and Jesse's hair in her hand. And it's just, you can kind of see him gradually having this moment. The girls, DJ and Danny walk in, and the girls promise to give Thanksgiving another try, and they're going to go, do Thanksgiving. But Jesse continues to look at the pictures. He says to the scrapbook, he says, "You missed a really good Thanksgiving." And, he's having a moment, and Danny notices that Jesse is having an issue and asks if he's okay. And Jesse at first is, he's dismissive. He can't express it. He's upset. But then at one point, he just asks, "When's it going to stop hurting, man?"
I loved this moment. I love this moment so much. I did cry. This was the moment where the single tear came out and I was like feeling emotional. And this was the sweetest moment I've seen them write so far, because it felt like we were finally getting beyond the facade of like this tough guy. And the first time we've also seen him like really talk about Pam, like really talk about her. We hear Danny bring her up from time to time, but we've never really gotten to know Pam on this level until right now. And at the same moment of getting to know Pam and understanding this woman that they're all mourning, we also get to understand a piece of Jesse, and a piece that he and himself also feels is missing, which we've all kind of, had an idea, because, we know that it's his sister, but this is the first time we've seen a peek behind the curtain, kind of like in Wizard of Oz, you get that peek behind the curtain. You're like, oh, well, damn, I didn't know that was there. Like it's definitely one of those moments where we get to see what Jesse's actually feeling on a continuous basis, and how the death of his sister actually affected him. Because I'm not gonna lie, up until this point, I kind of figured that they didn't have a great relationship, or they didn't have a current relationship, because nobody really talks about her. Which, on one hand, I can understand, because I know some like all families mourn differently. Some families will choose to not talk about it because it hurts a lot. Other families choose to talk about it a lot because they prefer to allow that loved one to live on through memories by talking about it. So it everybody kind of deals with death differently, but this was the first time where we actually got to really see what he's thinking, how he's feeling regarding the mourning in itself. We've seen the girls, we've seen Danny, but the only other person who was connected to her, like in that way, was Jesse. And this is the first time we've seen how it affected Jesse. Because, I mean, Joey didn't really know her. As far as we know, Joey didn't really know her. So we're not expecting to get that from Joey, but we've been waiting to get this from Jesse. So it was really nice to finally get to see this side of him and to have those walls crumble down, even if it was for a few minutes. They crumbled down and we got to really get a piece of him and understand him a little bit more than we have in any of the other episodes.
And what I really like is that Danny admits that he didn't even think about how Jesse would feel in this moment. But yes, Jesse has had more Thanksgivings with Pam than anyone. Jesse has, this is a bigger loss for Jesse than it is anyone else in the house, technically. Um,
Yeah,
and I mean, you said it best. It really is just the first time we see how much it really does hurt Jesse that, you know, his sister is gone. Like, I mean, that's a tough thing to go through. Danny just tells him, you know, talking about the memories is what keeps Pam in their hearts. And Jesse shows pictures of the retaliation prank he pulled on Pam, and they kind of start laughing, and you know he feels a little bit better. But like you said, yeah, and I remember having that same feeling as well, where I also, when I first watched this episode, I didn't put together that this would be an issue for Jesse because he has just been hiding it so well, you know. And the other thing too is that the focus is the girls so much, you know. It's so easy to get wrapped up in how they're feeling and what they want, and you forget that, you know, the adults have their own stuff that they're going through. And you know,
I
it's
think that's like a big thing is that, especially in loss, when there's like children involved, we always look to the children to make sure they're okay, but we always forget to look to the adult and make sure they're also okay.
yeah, because like adults are going to process it so much more like yeah, it's just it's just really, it's difficult. And you know, I really love, I think that John's performance was great as well, you know, his, the way he was gradually able to just, you see his pain hurt more and more and more, and then he, you know, felt better. It's, he did great.
Oh, yeah, this was so far his best performance on the show, easily.
Yeah. Yeah, they really knocked this one out of the park a little bit. So we're back downstairs. The girls are at the table. Joey's at the table, and the family says grace. I know that they're not specifically saying what religion they're in, but I don't know if this like bumped certain people or if they feel weird. I will say that from my perspective, it did seem like a nice general just acknowledgement of the family. I do think it was a nice prayer. It's weird because they also use that as an opportunity to like let the audience know where Jesse and Joey's family is at. And so Jesse's parents are in Orange County, and Joey's mom is gambling, and his father, who is with his third wife named Janice. And yeah, that was just like a little weird moment. But Joey also says that he's just thankful to be a part of that family. And I love anytime we see Joey just, you know, be happy to be there, because it just, he's very much that like, I think, you know, Joey also has a few demons, and we're getting a little bit of inklings of just a little bit of that broken family that he came from, and how he's just happy to be able to be a part of something full of love. And I love that for him too.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
And they start carving the turkey, and all they have is dark meat or really dark meat. And that's our Thanksgiving episode.
I really liked this episode. I did. This one had me all up in my feels. We had some really, really good moments. Yeah, I really like this episode. This was a good one.
I love it too. It's so fun, and it's just it's a full 360 Full House episode, and I think that,
Hmm.
you know, it's really really good. Do we have a not in my house moment?
Ooh. Ooh.
I feel like if I
Um,
had dropped a pie, I probably would have gotten in like more trouble than anything. But yeah.
You know what? The ooh, that's hard.
I
I
mean, it
feel like
was a
I'm so
very
taken in by a lot of the other moments that I really didn't even think about the not in my house moments this time as we were reading through it. Um, I feel like the not in my house moment would probably have to be, you know what? The only thing I could think of would be them actually cutting into that turkey. We would have tossed it. It doesn't matter. We would have tossed it. Ain't nobody cutting into that. It's too dark. It's burnt. It's burnt through and through. Do you want burnt or burnter?
yeah, yeah, no. That I mean, they you got to give them props for actually holding it down. I think we know what our get the violins moment is.
Yeah, the moment between Jesse and Danny.
Yeah, and just like the revelation of Jesse's heart and, you know,
Mm-hmm.
his grieving process. Um
That's gonna have to be my dad like Danny moment too, I think.
yeah, like Danny taking the second to actually I would say like him offering do the to give $200 for the turkey just so that the girls don't have a screwed up Thanksgiving. I do, but you know what? Yeah, I do think that his conversation with Jesse and him taking a second to ask, like, do you need to talk about this? Like, you know, it's just another one of those moments where like Danny Tanner shines and just is
Yeah.
what everyone needs.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that like while I agree, like the real fatherly moment would definitely be when he tried to buy that turkey for $200 in order to make sure DJ was happy. That's definitely the best like fatherly moment when it comes to the girls. But I think just overall, like Danny being a dad to somebody who needs a dad in that moment, it's gonna have to be that interaction between him and Jesse.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's cool too because they are family, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
like he is the girl's uncle, so it's you know you can't help but feel for him. Um,
Agreed.
do we have a full stop?
The full stop would be Jesse having them turn down the lights and bring out drinks. That's my full stop. You just met these women. Why are we bringing out drinks and turning down the lights already?
Yeah, even if it's for a
Can we
turkey.
get their names at least first? See
That's
if
true. We
they're
never learn their
married,
names.
interested, anything
We never learn these women's name, do we?
at all.
Huh? Or is it Paula and Alexandra? Well, I don't know, but
I don't remember.
yeah. But yeah, I think we've covered everything. Is there any last thoughts you want to say before we wrap?
This would have to see it's a very close second. My first is still the Danny fishing episode. Well, I mean that one kind of irritated me a little bit, but I liked it because Danny. But this one came in as like a very very close second. I really I like this episode a lot.
Yeah, I do think that this is probably the best episode that they've had so far.
Yeah.
And you know, this is a little bit of a turning point in the season. We're gonna get into some really good episodes after this. Like the show comes into its own,
Oh.
and we get into some good stuff. So I'm excited for that as well.
Oh,
Um,
I'm excited to get into it then, definitely.
yeah, we're gonna get into some real Full House. But yeah, want to send us out?
Let's do it. Thanks so much for listening, everyone.
Please remember to like, subscribe, follow, all the things, and stay tuned for the next episode. Until then, this is Dax.
And M reminding you
To never walk away angry.